mountains. And every day onto the ocean and the mountains. And I felt like we had our own live art show, because every day the sky would change or the colors would change. You know, it was so beautiful and peaceful. And behind us was the forest, and Shimadaji came and who had this puja there, and she talked about, it was one of the few Saraswati pujas that there are, and she talked about the nature and how it nourishes creativity and Saraswati's qualities. And that night, the night before the puja, Shimadaji had arrived, as you see, and she had a room up top, literally the corner bedroom that again looked down house sound. And we'd had rain earlier in the afternoon. Because you can see it on one of the videos, we've been preparing for the puja outside in the garden with a little canopy been erected. There were only like 30 or 40 people. You can see it was really small.
Everybody who came like from out of the country stayed at the ashram. They had tents, right? Because I remember we built bathrooms in the forest.
Yeah.
In the forest.
Even little shower things. Yeah.
And then at night time, so the bulk of the collective was downstairs meditating in the meditation room, and suddenly this dry lightning storm started. There wasn't rain with that, I remember. And the lights went out. We were downstairs, the lights went out and people put candles. And then Linda Taylor was saying this, and we were going to record her memories. She came down, so in Shimadaji's room, upstairs with Shimadaji, they could see this lightning storm going on, like kacho, kacho, kacho. And people up in the room said that Mother was talking, but she was like orchestrating. They could see her hand movements going, and then the lightning would go, you know. And it was very, very dramatic. And we were downstairs in the dark, hearing, you know, the lightning really there must have been thunder as well. I don't remember that. And the next morning, it was recorded in the paper that there'd been 1,600 lightning strikes all the way down from the coast.
16,000.
It was 1,000. 16,000, because they'd been recording it.
Chain, and that other kind. I don't know. There's 3 kinds of lightning on all of them together. And I think it's really important to announce, to remember, because I remember Shimadaji saying, she announced this happening the night before, and Shimadaji said that there's been a lot of, and don't quote me exactly, but it had to do with the native Indians and all the blood and the destruction that we had done, and that she needed to Vishnu Maya needed to clear out the karma, because there was a lot of unhappy dead souls of the dead native Indians that we were guilty of, white people. So that is why
it was a very interesting puja, because also that evening, as the sun set, the sky turned this deep pink peach color. Really, really incredible color, the whole sky. And apparently there was a prophecy in the First Nations that when the sky turns that color, it was foretelling of that the mother was coming.
Oh.
I remember that.
Whoa.
And she also said that Sri Vishnu was announcing to Sri Krishna to wake up and become active in America. And at that puja, quite spontaneously, nearly different countries had come to represent them, and also around America, different cities had come up, because Phil came from Phoenix, I think, and nearly all the gifts were indigenous, like First Nations crafts that had been brought, and nobody had talked about this. This is just what had been brought. And then what was so special about that puja also was this mask. They took Mother's photograph to a First Nations wood carver. So there was this tradition that if you carved a face mask from a person's, photograph of their face, the power of that person went into the mask. And when the carver saw the photograph, he said the coefficients are something really, like he recognized it was something special. This was a divine personality. And they presented, you can see, so what I saw on Amruta was there was the talk, then there was the puja, and then there was this black and white part which has got the end of the puja and the gift giving. And in the gift giving, they give this mask and they explain the symbolic significance of this mask, the belief of the First Nations. And they say to Shrimataji that when you turn this mask 3 times, it unleashes the power of that person. So she smiles and turns the mask, and then you put it on they put it on a shelf or somewhere so that this power can be released. And I do remember feeling a change in the way First Nations people were treated after that puja. Up until that point, I felt like they were invisible. You know, they were like invisible people. You'd see them on the buses, and it was like they didn't have any presence at all. But after that puja, things started to change. They had schools. They started to create their own schools and have their own languages. And I really felt like you said, that some big weight had fallen off. And
we had, and I can't remember his name. So you probably remember him. We had a native Indian, Rusty. And he presented Shrimataji with a headdress out of white eagle feathers. Do you remember that?
I didn't see it. But
oh
no.
My goodness, I don't know where that's ended up, but he presented it to her. And it was like,
Yes.
I think that was a really important turnaround as well.
And around that time, because when Mother came actually and received the roses, I had bought this book called, I discovered this book, children's book, which was The Legend of the Peace Pipe. It had been retold by Paul Goebel, and gave this book to Shrimataji with, please look after the First Nation. She said, don't worry about them, they're fine. She said, worry about your own people, like the Canadians, So yeah, it was like, oh, okay, it was very sweet. So, but around that time, there was a lot of attention, and even in Seattle, didn't they meet with some of the chiefs in Seattle? And I remember Mother being given a special shawl. There was this elder, this woman who came, but so very, very different times. There's a lot of history,
What's
here.
part 2 going to be, Felicity?
I'm sure we will. Well, I was thinking we could focus on some of the individual pujas, like the Hamsa Puja, talk about
That's
the
smart.
significance,
That's
and there's still Rajesh and Surinder, and the other thing would be nice to also talk with some of the young people who've grown up in Sahaja, who were born realized, and they also have experiences of meeting Shrimataji or going to the Sahaja schools, or I think there's a lot of different themes that we could.
Getting their names,
Yes.
getting their names from Shrimataji.
Yes, and also because I spoke to Matthew, who lives on Vancouver Island, and he said he had a lot of stories of living in Abbotsford in the ashram when Shrimataji came to visit, because he said she came 3 times, and Mohan said he had some. Anyway, we do our best to pull things together, Anyway, so thank you for having us. Oh, I nearly forgot. I'm so sorry. So I did bring from England. So those of you who don't know me, we lived here, my husband and I, for 35 years, and then the last 8 years we've been retired in England, taking care of my mum and some other things. And my husband's very involved in making Sahaja books and helping people publish their memoirs. And I really wanted to, so I bought a few books. But this one, my friend Danya, so she was very young when she came into Sahaja. She was only like 15, and she lost her mother very early on, and she kind of became a bit of a surrogate mother for her, and would call her, ring her up and say, oh, can you come, I need your help ironing saris or this and that, And she's written her memoirs of these really personal experiences with mother, and it's such a beautiful book. I feel like I'm in a puja when I'm reading it. So so all the books that I have here, there is a website called Divine Cool Breeze, where photos of Shrimataji have been archived, that you can also download and make prints from. All the photos that are on that website you can use for your meditation, you know, in an auspicious way. And then as part of that website, The Divine Cool Breeze, it has books or photos. And if you click on books, you go into Sahaja books. And this has all the Sahaja books made by Sahaja Yogis, and there's many, many different titles. And so I brought a sort of selection here, and you can take a photograph of, it seems to be wet there. You can take a photograph of this, you know, to find the website. And then this is a selection of books that are available. So we can leave this in the ashram, Vikram. We can leave this in the ashram. People can look through. It tells you a little bit about some of the books that you can order. We've been doing a huge series of books on William Blake, because William Blake was an incarnation of Sri Bhairava, and one of the yogis has been finding these amazing, good quality copies of his paintings and making them into different books that we can then look at, and with commentaries. Shimadaji spent a lot of time talking with this yogi about the vibrational importance of William Blake. And when you look at his work and you read his writings, it really clears the left side. She went to Finland one time and said, the yogis need to read Blake. It will clear their left side. So this is a very nice thing. This is a poetry book that my husband took Shimadaji's words as they are. He didn't change the words at all, and he just formatted them into a poetry format. So it's very, very beautiful. It makes a nice present for somebody. Anyway, that's what that is. And there's different cards. Each of these are covers of different books that have been made. Most of you might be familiar with Every Day with Shimadaji. That's also an app, so you can buy that as a book. This book, Amrutanu Bhava, is a book. This is written by Janeshwara. In the Kartikeya, Sri Kartikeya Puja in New Zealand, Shimadaji speaks of Janeshwara. He was a great saint in India, and he did a translation into Marathi, I think, of one of the texts. I've forgotten which one. And then Shimadaji goes on to talk about, she said, this book he wrote, Amrutanu Bhava, only Sahaja Yogis can understand after your realization. And she said, I wish someone would translate it into English so the yogis can read it. So a few years back, a yogi was doing this, was pulling together with vibrations the English translation. And I said to Richard, when is this going to be ready? You know, we've been all waiting for this book. And he said, oh, it's nearly ready. And then we had Sri Kartikeya Puja that weekend, and they played the talk where Mother says, everyone should read this book in English. You know, it's really a deep cleansing experience. And then they released the book, and I came out and I said, oh, they're talking about the book. This is the book that you're about to release, you know. And he said, oh, well, no deadlines. It'll come when it's ready. And then on the Tuesday, they released it. And because they had chosen, we talk about the divine's hand and everything, that they'd chosen this talk, and it was just before this was released, and they had the most sales of any book, because people understood and knew about it, So, and then the other one I wanted to share, I'm sorry, excuse me taking up your time, but this one is also a memories book. So in the early years, Shimadaji often purchased a house to live in that needed a lot of renovation or work on it. And she called the yogis to come, especially the young men, to come and help work on this house. And through that, they learned trades like plastering, plumbing, gilt edging, gilt work. And she called them the Golden Builders, because they worked on their houses. And John Watkinson worked on her first house in England, in Brompton Square, Cabela Castle, Pratishthan, and he's put his experiences here, being in Mother's presence, things that she said. So again, and he's also put his own, he's become an artist in his old age, and I shouldn't say old age, it's my age.
He's talked about building the building.
Yeah, you know, and there's miracle stories there, you know, you get a real sense of what it was like to be in Mother's presence, and how practical she was, you know, how practical. So all the illustrations, and there's photos as well that he did himself. And then there's this one also that I just bought. There's also a children's section for children, and this one is made for children to learn about the deities. Each page has a picture of the deity with a photograph of Shrimataji representing that deity, because each puja had the photos would contain the quality of that deity being worshipped. So if you were to a Sri Ram puja, you know, and so that's what we try to do. We try to match. So when the children are looking through, they see, oh, Sri Ganesha, and then they can feel, they can experience the quality of that chakra. And we have some different ones. Here's Sri Kartikeya. And so again, these drawings are by a yogi. All the drawings are by yogis, and the photos is Sri Brahmadeva, Shrimataji painting.
So will they ship to Canada?
No. So how it works is they are all printed through self-print publishing, Lulu, a company called Lulu. So you go on the website and then you order the book, and it's printed here and shipped to you from here. And every so often, so Richard has there's like, I don't know what you'd call it, but he has like a readership list. And so every so often Lulu does a sale, like 15% off, or you can make a bulk order, you know, in your ashram, so then delivery costs a lot less. And he will, when that comes up, he forwards that out to everyone who's on the list. So I can send you that link too. I've forgotten how you get on that. So every time there's a new publication. And this one, I did want to share this one. So this is a beautiful, so this is Sri Sainath, one of the Adi Gurus, the last one. And so my friend Lewis has made this. He did a lot of research. There were books, photos about Sri Sainath, but he has done this. This is almost a book for new people, because what he's done is he has related, Shrimataji said, you know, these Adi Gurus came to prepare the way for Sahaja. So he has made the links between what Sai Baba taught, what he said, how it links with Shrimataji, and I found it very beautifully written and very nice, you know, to read, and different photos. So this is just a little sample, and as I said, all of these are covers from books there anyway. So I just wanted you to be able to look through and know that these were there, because sometimes we're a bit far away over here in Vancouver, and we don't always get to hear and know everything that's going on over in Europe. But vibrationally, it's not different. It's very connected. I could feel I wasn't able to come to the puja last night. But vibrations were so beautiful. Really lovely. Anyway, thank you for listening to me.